Hello, everyone. Once again, with my favorite coach, 96 High School, Coach Bennett. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. It's been a been a long. I don't I always like to play, but bye week's been seems like it drags. It's kind of like the week before the season starts, just drags. But it's been good. We got a lot of work out of it, and it's been a good week.
Good deal. Good deal. Let's kind of recap. I know you're probably tired of talking about it. The Mid Carolina game. Let's
Oh,
kind of give us a summary of that game. 21 nothing victory, led by sophomore Carver Davies as usual, holding the ship steady. Let's kind of summarize that game, Coach.
we went around and piddled around on offense and didn't play the game offensively we like to play, but I thought our defense played really well. They got a shutout anytime you. It was big for them to bounce off for us to go be shut out against Saluda and for us to come back the next week and shut our opponent out, kind of show some resilience. Our kids has played hard. We just had a lot of offensively had a lot of mistakes, self inflicted, bad snaps, poor timing. Uh, you can't put the blame on one person, but it was a lot of there was a lot of blame to be passed around. But I think this week the bye week been able to clean that up some. But the defensively and special teams, I thought we played really well. Mid Carolina came after some of our punts, and we were able to get those off. And um, it was the when you go back and watch the tape when we graded the film, it was the best game we played up front on the offensive line. That offensive line unit, other than the bad snaps, it's coming around pretty good. So we saw a lot of good things. We turned on the tape. We felt a lot better after we watched the film together as a staff than we did coming off the field Friday night because it's we're getting there. We're getting closer every game to being what the offense is supposed to be. So it was a good thing for our kids to come out and play hard and put a complete game together defensively, and really proud of the way those guys played.
Honestly, a win is a win, whether it's ugly win or a pretty win. A win is a win.
That's right.
Right, right, right now you're sitting at 3-1. We're at the bye week. Hopefully, some injuries get healed up. Maybe some tired guys get rested, like you said earlier, and clean up stuff on offense. What do you emphasize in this week, Coach, on your bye week?
This week it's been just like I said after the game to the team. It's been a lot of technique work, a lot of group work offensively, getting the timing things down, and we've gone back and fixed some things that maybe kids didn't understand as well as we thought they did. So we went back and retaught some things. I think we're in a much better place offensively now. Um, Defense has already started working on Pillion because they didn't have near as many mistakes as we did offensively, so they didn't have as much corrections to do. But it's been just a real. The practices have been lively, but it's just been a little bit more controlled, quick whistle, kind of taking it slow,
Okay,
getting the guys getting in the weeds with them a little bit.
Coach, you think maybe the guys were in kind of a funk coming out of that Saluda game? Not trying to use that as an excuse, but maybe that game, maybe just coming to Mid Carolina, team was winless. Maybe they kind of maybe I don't want to say overlooked, because I'm sure you guys didn't let them overlook them. But do you think they ain't taking it as serious as they should have, or what do you think? Was the team just in the funk after the Saluda game?
Uh, I think uh, I think the overall response was pretty good because if we would have been in a funk, we would have come out and let Mid Carolina move the ball. And,
Okay.
I do think kids, and I said this to my friend, my buddies, head coach here in the state, and me and him were talking, and I said, one thing about high school kids, the best programs in the country, they all read the scores, and they
Yeah.
all know like we're playing. If we're playing a team that hadn't won a game, that's why we're so big on watching film because you can, if you watch Mid Carolina on tape, they hadn't won a game, but they played some good football games. They've had some close ones. Saluda kind of got away from them, but they did a lot of they had a lot of big mistakes that hurt them against Saluda. But I mean, they've played some tight football games, so it's not. I mean, well, there's some good teams out there like I think Emerald's a good football team. They
Yeah,
just they hadn't found a win yet, but they will. They will
yeah.
win some games. So
You're right.
that's what I told our guys. You know, a winless team's a dangerous team because
Yeah.
they're still fighting for number one.
Hmm.
I thought defensively our kids did a great job of not buying into it and just playing the game,
Yeah.
and offensively, you know, we come out and our first drive is 15, 16 plays, go right
Mm,
down the field, score.
mm.
And then after that, it was we'd get a couple first downs, get a penalty, get a couple first downs, miss an assignment, lose
Mm.
yards. It kind of showed our kids the importance of not self mutilating because
Yeah.
that's what we did. We were cutting our own arm off every time we'd get out there,
Mm.
and that's I don't know if I'd say it was a funk after Saluda. I think it was more of a we needed to look at ourselves and figure out like why are we not? Why is every drive not like the first drive or the first
Gotcha.
drive of the second half? You know, it's because we make mistakes. But when you play a lot of young kids, you're
Yeah.
gonna have. But that's I think they had a great week of practice after Saluda game. I was way more worried about Monday's practice than I was the next Friday's game because how you respond coming off a loss says a lot about your team. We had a pretty good week of practice, so I think it's just clean some things up, which is why I was glad the bye week came when it did.
Sounds good. All right, now we got Pillion.
Hmm.
Pillion is led by what number four? Number four, Lucas New. Seemed to be a running quarterback. I know their first game, he actually accounted for 6 touchdowns against
Yep.
the first game. Yeah, must be a runner and a passer. Have you seen the film on Lucas New?
Yeah, we Coach Holland and I went ahead and traded tape, even because they're on a bye week this week too.
Oh, okay.
So we went ahead and traded tape Friday night after the game. We've watched Pillion. We hadn't watched a lot of it with the kids because this week was about now defensively they've watched a little bit, but offensively we were trying to fix ourselves. And what we do on offense, we don't really you don't know what people's going to play on defense. They'll change defenses in the middle of the week if they think something will help
You're
against
right.
us.
You're right.
I mean, that's like Mid Carolina. You go back and watch Mid Carolina tape. They played some even front, some odd front. They did a lot of different things. And from doing this a while and seeing it at Clinton, we never spent as much. We would look to see who their defensive starters were, who their players were, where they're at,
Mhm.
what positions ought they move the guys around. But
Mhm.
we don't put a whole lot of stock in saying, this team is a 4 down team
Yeah.
because against us, they liable to come out in the odd front. So we focus way more on just doing our stuff and trying to pick out where their players are because ultimately the game of football is you try to put your best players against their worst players. It's the best chance you can. So we've watched them offensively. They're the most fun team to watch offensively that we've as far as just because I like contrarian offenses. They run some triple option out of the gun, and
Mm.
they do some interesting things. They've got some stuff from Brendan Marion, who's the offense coordinator out at UNLV. He's
Mm.
the go-go offense is what it's called. They'll put both running backs right each other in the backfield and run triple that way. It's interesting to watch. That quarterback's a good player. He's got a good arm too. I don't know that he's a baseball player, but I imagine he is. He throws it kind of like a baseball guy, kind of sidearm, but he can spin it. Uh, the tape we've got, they've moved the ball. I mean, even the Gilbert game, Gilbert beat them, but they moved the ball on Gilbert a little bit early. Um, it's an interesting offense to coach against. So
Mm.
I've been kind of leaning around Coach Henderson and seeing what he's telling them because I'm thinking about it from the offensive standpoint, and I think we've got a good plan, and we hope to be able to execute out there defensively. The quarterback though is a player. I got a really good defensive lineman too, number 52, um, Jerron Sanders. He's a
Okay.
good player. He's a good player. He plays some nose guard for him. Quarterback flips around and plays safety, so him and Carver, maybe they'd shake hands after the game because they got a quarterback that plays some safety too. He'll hit you too.
Ah.
He's a good player.
Yeah. Pillion's coming off a 55-9 loss to Gilbert, but from all indication, Gilbert's a very very good team down that way.
They
Um,
are. They are. Pillion's got a good kicker too. That kicker, he used to kick 3 field goals against Gilbert. Uh,
would you say you guys are pretty much evenly matched, you and Pillion? From what you
yeah, yeah. I mean, they've got a lot. They've got a lot more guys on the roster. They sent me the roster today. Me and Coach Holland exchanged roster, and I looked at it and I said, "My God, yeah, it doesn't look like that many on tape, or I just hadn't noticed." But
yeah,
they've got a ton of guys on the roster, so they'll have more players than us. But I think I tell the guys all the time. I told them when we went to scrimmage when we played Greenwood in that jamboree. As long as they can't put more than 11 on the field,
good
that don't
point.
matter. I mean, I've had to say that all year because I mean every team we've played's had more numbers than us, but that's coming around. It's not going to be a. I don't think that's going to be an issue moving forward. I think the numbers in the program are solid from 8U up. We just got to continue to build, and you know, winning cures all. So if we can keep
Yeah,
winning, I'll probably get some more kids out as well. I mean, but Pillion's got some good players. I think they've got some good players and they've got good coaches, and
yeah.
but I think we've got good players and good coaches too. So yeah, I guess you could say we're evenly matched.
It'll be an interesting game Friday night, right? But
That's
excuse me,
right.
next Friday.
Next Friday, homecoming, baby, homecoming.
Oh, it's gonna be lively. It's gonna be lively. All right, let's talk about the sophomore for a little bit, Carver Davis. Now, I know seems that you seem to be an offensive guy. Is that fair to say? Are you an offensive guy,
Yes,
coach? Okay.
yes.
I guess it's a catch-22 because Carver's a young guy. He's gonna make young mistakes. I
Oh,
know in the Saluda game, I saw some drop snaps, what have you, but it's young stuff.
oh yeah.
Catch-22. He's getting good experience though. All right. So it's gonna pan out for him in the years to come. Okay.
Oh
But what do you say to Carver to calm him down or try to keep him even keel? I noticed you said he plays kind of consistently, doesn't get too high and too low. What do you say to him just to kind of keep him where he is?
well, the good thing about Carver is he's like I've said before, he is very even keel. He's not very emotional when he plays. He does a great job. We tell him all the time to reset. The next play is important. Forget the last play. I don't care what happened, touchdown, sack, whatever. He does a good job of getting reset and focused on the next play. The only thing that he's such a coachable kid that during the game, I'll go put my arm around him and say, if he's obviously a little flustered, he'll never say it, but I'll go put my arm around him and say, look, man, just calm down, play the game, run the play we call, you'll be fine. And he does a good job of commanding that huddle, being so young. Um, I'm extremely proud of Carver. I think I've told him before too. It's like after the Saluda game, I said, it's never going to be worse than it is right now. So uh,
Good advice, man. Good.
when you're young and you bottom out, like, hey, we can only go up from here.
That's some
Because
good
that's the
advice.
thing. I told our coaches, we meeting on Sunday and not this past Sunday, but on every other Sunday. We'll meet this Sunday, get ready for Pillion, try to keep things consistent. But I said, I mean, just look at the guys, look at our starters. Now we got some really good seniors that are going to graduate. I said, but the overwhelming majority of the people that are making plays, they're all coming back,
That's a
and
good
a
thing.
lot of them are coming back twice.
That's a good thing. It's a real good thing.
That's right, and that's what we got to understand that, and it's tough. It's tough as coaches, and certainly tough as players. But we're getting some valuable experience right now, and there's a lot of teams playing this many sophomores that are 0-4. So we're doing it and finding a way to string together some wins, and that's what we got to do because we're trying to get better each week because you want to be playing your best football when
Yes.
the when the playoffs start.
Region time. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. How do you talk to your seniors? Like let's say LD, um,
Mm-hmm.
prime receiver, look for the ball. You go from QB1 to Carver.
Yeah.
How does he make that adjustment? Do you talk to him? Does he get in Carver's ear? Ladarian seems to be kind of mild mannered, don't say much. Is that fair to
Oh
say?
yeah. Him and Evan both at receiver are they're great. They love Carver. They're very supportive of Carver. They obviously love Braden. Ladarian and Braden have a chemistry like I hadn't seen in a while. But
Yeah.
you know they don't get frustrated. People People in the stands do, but that don't that don't bother me. I hear about it secondhand after the fact. I can't, despite no matter how much they yell at me from the stands, I can't hear it. But Ladarian's as good as gold, man. He knows that without 16 back there, we're going to have to be a little bit more run heavy. And he goes out there and blocks his tail off. And when his number's called, just like the other night on the first drive, he goes out there and makes a good touchdown catch because he is a mismatch out there against a lot
Yeah,
of teams.
yeah.
He's really long and he plays big and he's you know I give him a hard time. He's not super fast. I tell him,
I was just going to ask you that. Is he as fast as he say he is?
no, 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 he's not as fast as he says he is. I tell you who's fast, like really fast, and you wouldn't expect it the way that because they're very quiet. But that's Carver. Carver can fly.
Wow.
Carver, if you lined them up and raced, Carver would beat a lot of our guys on the team. Carver can run. Braden Mitchell's fast.
Wow.
Him and LD are kind of they're both
Okay.
fast to be as big as they are.
Yeah, yeah.
Because 200 pounds coming is a lot, and they both run pretty well to be bigger kids. But Braden's faster than LD, and as soon as Braden's cleared, I'm sure he'll go out there and get back on him and tell him they'll race or whatever. But I don't know if I'll let him do that. But Ladarian but he plays really big and high points the ball well, and him and Evan have done a good job of not being frustrated because we haven't been able to give them the ball as much, and
Yeah.
but they doing their job and playing within the offense, and that's the sign of a good team when you got guys that are more worried about the final score than they are about their stat line. Because this offense, and I told them all that when I got the job, this offense is built for we're going to take what defense is giving us, and there's going to be weeks where our wings are going to get slots are going to get a lot of touches. There's going to be weeks where the B back, who's Zay or Gabe, they're going to get a lot of touches. There's going to be a lot of weeks where the quarterback has to run the ball, and there's going to be weeks where they give us out on the perimeter where we can pitch it outside and get it to those receivers and our tight ends, and it's all based around what the defense is giving you, and you've got to be willing to play as hard without the ball as you do with it. And for the most part, I think we're pretty bought into that mindset because Zay gets the ball pretty good bit the last couple of weeks because the B back run game has been there for us, and I think for the most part we hadn't batted an eye, and Zay doesn't mind. He doesn't mind when anybody else is getting the ball. He's going to go out there and do his job. So
Good.
it's all about the team, baby.
Did you see Zay? Did you see this? Did you see Zay being the impact player that he is now? Did you see that coming out of the summer?
We kind of figured Zay's explosive, very, very explosive. We knew he could run because he was with track during the spring, and we would, we'd hear how good he was doing. But I saw him on tape when I got the job. Obviously Braden Mitchell jumps out, and then I see this running back number 8, and I'm like, man, this kid's young. He's a sophomore, and I thought that he would be a back that would get more carries doing what we're doing as opposed to spreading it out and trying to, I call it chuck and duck,
Yeah.
throw the ball around. But
Yeah.
I knew he'd be a player. I did not know he was as good with the ball in his hands as he is. I thought he was just more of a bowling ball, but he's got a little wiggle to him. He can run. He's a heck of a player, and he's really good on defense too. He's one of our leading tacklers. He might be our leading tackler.
Let me
He's
ask you.
He's just a good football player.
Good deal. Good deal. Let me ask you about Janavis Oliver. I know you see him kind of banged up a little bit against Saluda. Is he doing better? And how did he do Friday night?
He played well Friday. He had he didn't get a pick this week. They tried to throw one screen and he was sitting on it, but he didn't get to it. I think he was in on the tackle though. But
Okay.
Janavis has played well. Janavis is come a long way in the way he practices, and he's done well. I enjoy watching him play. I like when we go team offense, putting him on defense and going against him.
You told me that, yeah.
Because he is him and Nathan McCary both give you when both of them are on defense and we're on offense, we have to be really sound offensively. If we don't step with the right foot, those two they'll expose you. So Yeah, Janavis has done. He did well against mid. I love Janavis. He's a good one. We had a lot of fun. They came. We brought them linemen over to the house to eat at my wife's house. My
Okay.
wife's house. Uh,
You already said
but
it. Your wife's house. You said it right. Your wife's
yeah,
house.
you're right. Yeah, what's hers is hers, and what's mine is hers. Um, but
That's
she
good.
cooked she cooked spaghetti for them and everything. And
Okay.
Coach Lemons came over because all our offensive and defensive linemen, Janivis is really the only one that doesn't play offensive line because his offensive position he'll play a little tight end, a little running
Okay.
back, but we try to say he's so good on defense. We try to save him because
Mm.
when his gas tank is full, he is tough on defense. I mean,
Mm.
he's really good from that four technique spot. And he's tough to block, and as an old offensive lineman, the worst guys to block are the ones that are quick. And
Yeah.
he's got such a good first step, man. He is fun. It's fun to watch him play.
Relentless. It seemed like. That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Okay, Coach. You said earlier that the JV game was canceled last week. Going down that way. You said they are
Yep.
playing tonight, correct?
Yep. Going back to Mid Carolina, try to get this thing played tonight. Shouldn't be any problem. Don't see anything in the radar. It's going to be an issue. Last week, it was kind of hectic because those storms were moving really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So Coach Arnott and I talked on the phone at like 4 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
4:30, somewhere in there, and RJV were getting on the bus to leave.
Mm.
And he said, Coach, I think we're going to get it in. I think we might have to move it, but I think we're going to get it in. I said, all right, well, I'll send them. So JV's drove down there. They got down there, and the storm sat down over Prosperity.
Oh
So
man. Oh,
it
oh
would
man.
the only way we could have played is if we'd have kicked it off at 8:30. And I said, we can't do that on school night. And they couldn't either. So,
Oh.
and then this is some kind of inside baseball deal to tell y'all how crazy scheduling is.
Mm.
We needed a game. We wanted a JV game this week because the kids almost got to play last week, and then at the last minute, rain got it,
Yeah.
or lightning. Because if it just been raining, we'd play. But
Yeah.
lightning, all that.
Yeah.
So I put out there in our coaches association site that we were looking for a JV game. Well, Broome calls me, and I know those guys at Broome. You remember we picked up and had that scrimmage at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, and they said we need a JV game too.
Okay.
The team they're playing on Friday night doesn't have a JV team. So I said, well, that's good. I said, we'll come to y'all and we get it all set up. Well, Mid Carolina had a JV game scheduled against Boiling Springs,
Mm.
which is a heck of a ride from Prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
So the coaches, we all kind of figured out at the same time, like, wait a minute, Broome, 96 is going to go to Broome. Mid Carolina's going to go to Boiling Springs. Why don't Boiling Springs and Broome play? And
There
then
you go.
that's how it came to be that we're actually getting to play Mid Carolina tonight.
Awesome.
Save us some miles on the bus and
There you
get
go.
back home in a decent hour.
Awesome. All right, Coach, you got a practice player of the week for me?
Yeah. We talked about it. We talked about it. I had an offensive lineman that I kind of chapped and got on the week before. Didn't play very well. Didn't practice very well. And then last week he came out and he practiced great. And what do you know? He played the best game he's played all year.
Mm.
So Jordan Swank is our practice player of the week. He's a junior offensive lineman. He was starting last year as a sophomore here, and he's a good one. Last week was not his best week, or not last week, week 4. Saluda week, he did not practice very well. And we had a word of prayer about that. He came out and really he practiced the way he should practice and did a phenomenal job on both sides of the ball. So he's our practice player of the week this week.
And there was Jordan Swank.
Swink, yep, Jordan Swink.
Okay, Swank. Okay, sounds good. You said you had a word of prayer.
Yeah.
Got you. I can imagine. I can imagine. Sounds good, Coach.
Sometimes it's
You need it. Yeah.
sometimes you gotta have it.
Coach, I appreciate you, man. You know I do. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you.
I have that certificate tomorrow for the kid. What time you practice tomorrow?
I'm not practicing on March Friday.
So what can I?
I'm giving them Friday off because it's off week. So I didn't want to practice on Friday and then have because a bunch of them are going to go watch other games, and
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
want them scrambling and rushing, and all my coaches are going to watch other games, and
I'll come through Monday and give them the certificate.
that'll be great.
Appreciate you, Coach. Have a great one. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later. All right.